The Portfolio Composer, episode 224.
You're listening to the Portfolio Composer podcast with your host and coach, Garrett Hope, where he teaches you what it takes to master the business end of writing music through mindset, marketing, and business skills. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter at theportfoliocomposer.com for exclusive offers, business insights, and information not shared on the podcast. And now, for this episode of the Portfolio Composer.
Your first goal has to be try to solve your short-term future, like how to pay your rent, your bills, how to establish a life that you can survive and you can have some peace of mind. So by doing that, it gave me a lot of peace of mind and I started feeling better in the city. And after having solved the short-term future, I think you have a better chance to find new things because you are more relaxed, you are not desperate. I have a lot of friends that when they come here, they focus too much on the big goal, which is scoring movies and being a film composer, and they maybe don't pay that much attention to the short-term future. First, you try to figure out your life, and then you try to move forward.
This episode is sponsored by Encoda, the home of digital sheet music. With the Encoda app, you can stream sheet music from the world's greatest publishing houses, including Boozy and Hawkes, Baron Writer, Chester, Novello, and more. The music you stream is fully licensed for performance, and as a conductor or composer, you can push out markings and on-the-fly edits to your ensemble. You can even upload your own PDFs to the Encoda sheet music reader. Download Encoda from your app store today for a free trial. That's Encoda, spelled N-K-O-D-A, Encoda. This episode is brought to you by Dorico, the music notation software from Steinberg. Just released, Dorico Pro 3 is a major new version, with game-changing advances in note input, notation, and engraving. Also available from Steinberg is Dorico Elements, an entry-level application that packs all of the essential power of Dorico Pro into a simple, streamlined package that is ideal for those getting started. Find out more later in the show. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Portfolio Composer podcast. I am your host, your coach, and your teacher, Garrett Hope. Arturo Cardelús is best known for the internet sensation In a Heartbeat and the Netflix original miniseries Call Me Francis. His most recent score, Buñuel, was called the most unforgettable score of the year by the Rap's Carlos Aguilar and won Best Original Music Award at the Annecy Film Festival. His concert music has been performed by ensembles including the Berlin Philharmonic Soloists and Camerata Baltica. Cardelús was elected Associate of the Royal Academy of Music in 2016. Enjoy. So I want to start here by asking what's in your portfolio, Arturo? What are you doing or what do you have that produces income for you?
For a while, I was doing a lot of commercials, advertisement, like TV commercials, and they were really well paid. It was just, most of the time it was an easy job that it would take you a day or two. And then you would be done, and then the royalties, and then the pay was great. And then I started doing movies, and that was different. It was more time consuming, and for independent movies, the pay wasn't that great. But I started getting busy doing movies, and now most of my income comes from movies, and also I do classical music too. So I have some royalties from performances in concert halls and things like that.
Are you also selling your scores? Are those available?
Oh, that's right. That's another way. Yeah, I sell actually a lot of scores. Yeah, I sell scores through my website and also through Beat Music Plus, I think it's called. It's a website.
Yeah.
I think it's an American website. And yeah, and I get also some money from streams from Spotify.
Great. So you really have 3 or 4 different things that are producing income for you. And some of these have become passive, meaning you've done the work. Now they sit there like the scores. They sell themselves in the streams.
Those are the best. The passive is our friend.
Yes, it is. That's wonderful.
Oh, and sorry. And there's one more stream of income. Sometimes I get commissions, like classical commissions, where an ensemble or an orchestra commissions me a piece and they pay a fee for that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I come from the concert music world, and that's probably one of the largest income streams for most classical composers.
Mm-hmm.
Because
definitely.
The commission fee can be quite high. But the problem is you that only comes once. So then you have to build up the scores so that you can sell those and get the passive income.
Yeah, and also you have to hope that the piece is going to be performed more than once, because a lot of times I have friends and myself, you spend so much time on a piece, they give you a fee, which is a good fee, but maybe that piece, especially if you have a very tricky instrumentation, maybe it's only going to be performed once.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
The farewell premiere, I've heard it called.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a diagnosis. Okay.
So I'm curious, how have you dealt with that? What have you done to get second, third, and fourth performances?
I've done a lot of collaborations with a Berlin Philharmonic soloist. It's an ensemble string made from musicians from the Berlin Philharmonic. They play a lot. Like they do tours like 2 or 3 times a year. Sometimes at the same time they are touring with the orchestra, and other times just by themselves. And when they tour, they play maybe 8 or 10 concerts. They just played a piece of mine yesterday in Italy, in Milan. And like 2 months ago, I think it was, they had a tour in Japan, and they played like 8 times the same piece. So I try to find players that I know play a lot, because then the chances of having your piece replayed are higher.
So that's a pretty big thing. I mean, getting the Berlin Philharmonic soloists and small ensembles to play your music. How were you able to do that?
I was so lucky, actually. I had just graduated from Berklee College of Music, and I just had moved here in LA to LA. I was orchestrating for people. I was just trying to find my first gigs. One of the first violinists of the orchestra, Laurentius Dinka, he's a violinist from Romania. That he has been in the orchestra for, I think, now 34 years. He auditioned for Herbert von Karajan. So he's quite a legend in the orchestra. He went to YouTube a morning and wrote 2 words, tango violin. And I was so lucky that at least at that time, I don't know if now is the same. At that time, if you wrote tango violin, the first match was a video of mine playing a piece for violin and piano called Tango. And he has this ensemble that they do a lot of tangos, tango music from Piazzolla and people like that. So he really liked the piece, and he emailed me. And it was very interesting. I thought it was a joke at the beginning when he said, I'm one of the first violinists of the Berlin Philharmonic, and I want to commission you a piece for my ensemble. And then, but then I thought, you have to be an awful person to do that joke, right? So anyway, it turned out to be true. I composed the piece. We recorded that piece, Conaire Tango, in Berlin, in the Philharmonie, in the Chamber Music Hall. And then Naxos released a CD with the piece and other pieces. And then that piece really opened a lot of doors. It was also performed by the Kremerata Baltica, the ensemble by Gidon Kremer, the violinist. Mm-hmm. And it's been performed a lot all over the world. So anyway, that's how it started. You wanted to know how that happened.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you were very fortunate to just happen to be on the top of a search in YouTube.
Yes, yes, exactly. The day he was looking for new repertoire in that style. Yes.
Right. So luck is a component. I recognize that. But there's more to it, I think. Specifically,
I mean, he liked the piece. He had to like the piece, obviously. Yeah.
Sure, right. Obviously you wrote good music, fine music. But really, what I'm getting at here is that you were able to take this opportunity and then maximize it. You leveraged it out. So you met this individual, they commissioned a piece, and sometimes those commissions stop. Now they're going to get repeat performances. But now you just told me that other ensembles all around the world are performing it.
Oh yeah, and the piece has been recorded already in 5 different CDs.
Wow!
It's written for solo violin and a string quintet, which also can be a string orchestra. And there's a version now for bandoneon, clarinet, cello. It's been recorded by different players around the world, and it is performed a lot, actually. So yeah, I was very lucky.
Now, what are you doing to help make that happen? What are you doing to leverage that opportunity to grow it?
I used to be more active and really proactive, trying to find players. But lately, I've been very busy with the movies that I haven't done much. But once, like, I don't know, every month and a half or 2 months, I get a Google notification that the piece is performed somewhere. It makes me really happy that when the Cremerata Baltica played it, which, I mean, that ensemble is one of the best ensembles for chamber music. I didn't know they were practicing it. I didn't know even. So I just got a Google notification and I saw Cremerata Baltica is playing Con aire de tango by Arturo Cardelús. It was a great surprise.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yes.
Now, think back to a few years ago when you were really pushing this. Were you emailing players on a regular basis or searching for ensembles where it'd be a good fit repertoire-wise?
Yeah, I was doing that. And of course, I had the Berlin Philharmonic name with me, so that really helped. Yeah. I had a video of them performing and also the Naxos link to the piece. And so I use that just to show I'm just not a random guy. Like, there is something behind this. And I email a lot of ensembles, and I have to say that the cold emailing most of the times doesn't work. At least maybe I was very unlucky, but it didn't work that much.
You're writing this classical music. You just graduate from Berkeley, and that's Berkeley in Boston, right? Not UC Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And that's not known for their classical music program.
No, but before that, I went to the Royal Academy of Music in London.
Okay, so you got some legit conservatory training there.
Yeah, I'm legit, I promise.
Okay, I probably shouldn't have used that word. But there is this disconnect, and a lot of the conservatory people look down at commercial music and film music.
Yeah, I think it's worse in Europe. In Europe, it's like, oh my God, yeah. But I think it's getting better, both in Europe and here. I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist, but I think people are understanding a little better the role of music in our society. And I don't think we need to just divide music in like good music and bad music. I mean, based on the style or the genre. I think there is quality and interesting things happening in every form of music.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. When I listen to even commercial, like pop music, there's a wide range of efforts, and you know, there's the really cheaply produced stuff that's just bubblegum. Like, it goes in and it gets a big hit and it rises up the charts, and then there's stuff that's crafted at a level that is absolutely stunning.
I mean, some of the Bruno Mars songs, it's really hard to do that. It's not easy at all.
Harmonic complexity too.
Yeah.
Yep. So how have you been bridging that gap personally? Did you wrestle with that gap yourself?
Yes, because I come from a very strong classical background. Before London, I went to the Franz Liszt Academy in Budapest. I was studying piano, classical piano performance. And I was having piano lessons at one of the rooms where Bartók sometimes used to teach. And the whole atmosphere was amazing. I mean, the musicians were amazing. But there, you couldn't even say film music. I mean, they would kill you, right? And so it was hard for me because I remember being there, and I love Bartók. I love that music, but I also like Alan Menken. And I didn't know how to share that with the Hungarian teachers.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so let's kind of jump forward in time to now you're doing major films. What does it take for a composer to make that switch? Now, I'm not talking mentally, but who do you have to meet, and how did you meet them?
That's a great question. You have to meet. How do you meet them? I would say you have to move to LA. Or London or New York. You need to go to a place where it's a center for this kind of music. You need to meet a lot of people. You need to have videos on YouTube. I think to me that made the biggest difference. I've gotten movies just from producers watching my videos on YouTube. And I think in a way, composers these days, we're so lucky because we have the ability to reach people all over the world just by uploading a video. And that's something that before, for people in Japan to listen to your music, you will have to be a big star, like a superstar composer. And now anyone can upload a video and have someone in Japan listening to it. by chance. And the question is, how do you do it? You meet a lot of people, you have to compose music, make a lot of connections. And yes, you need luck. You need a lot of luck. It's something that is, I don't know if it's always mentioned when you talk about this career, but you need a break. You need to do something that is extremely lucky, or something extremely lucky has to happen to you.
But you have to put yourself in the right position and be prepared when the luck strikes.
That's true. That's for sure. And also, the more you work and the more you try, the better luck you seem to have.
So there's kind of this gravity that happens. The more and more happens. So when you moved to LA, were you going to meetups and conferences? How did you meet directors and producers?
I had there's a big network of people that studied in Berkeley, in Boston, Berkeley College of Music, and it's a very supportive network. So whenever there's an opening, like a composer looking for an orchestrator, people talk about it on Facebook, or you see some links. And then you just apply to that. You send a cover letter, a resume, and your music. And I got an opportunity orchestrating for Mario Grigorov. He's a Bulgarian composer, very talented guy. And that helped me meeting other people and helped me write the music for my first movie.
As you were doing this process, what did you learn that was unexpected? What surprised you?
I don't know if it was unexpected, but the best thing I learned when moving here in LA is that when you first move here, your first goal has to be try to solve your short-term future, like how to pay your rent, your bills, how to establish a life that you can survive and you can have some peace of mind. So my first goal was to do that. I did that by first, I found a job as a music director in a church. It was a great job because it was well paid. I loved the people, and I only had one rehearsal a week and then the service. By doing that, it gave me a lot of peace of mind, and I started feeling better in the city. And after having solved the short-term future, then you have a better. I think you have a better chance to find new things because you are more relaxed. You are not desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this because I have a lot of friends that when they come here, they focus too much on the big goal, which is scoring movies and being a film composer, and they maybe don't pay that much attention to the short-term future. And I think it helps if first you try to figure out your life and then you try to move forward with your goals.
This episode is sponsored by Dorico, the future of scoring. And we want to feature real Dorico users so you can know that real composers out in the world today are using Dorico to make their careers happen.
My name is Aaron Perrine, and I'm a composer and a conductor. I have found that it has drastically improved my workflow. I feel like far less editing and engraving necessary with Dorico. It's just so intuitive when you kind of wrap your head around how it handles things and just understanding how it works globally. Everything is done globally. So now if I ever want to make a change, I have to think about it. Okay, how would I do this, behind the scenes? What really attracted me, and actually my first piece that I wrote in Dorico was a saxophone concerto, and I was attracted to the flows, the way it can handle a multi-movement piece so effortlessly. And I thought, well, and that was maybe a crazy one to jump into. I should have probably done, that was a 20-minute piece. I should have probably done something a little smaller. But that forced me to learn program quite well. So I had to learn many, many, many things in the midst of that one. But there's a great forum, and there's just a lot of support online. Anytime if you have a question, there's people you can reach out to that you'll get answers. It's just time is money. I mean, it's for me, it's that simple. I spend more time writing music and less time fighting with a notation program. I feel like the notation program is just simply it just should be a tool to best express yourself as a composer. If you're actually in the middle of a piece, I feel like it's so much easier in Dorico to make quick changes as far as like inserting music, moving music around, the use of all the filters. I mean, there's just a variety of things that I feel like it frees you up and you're not set in stone. You're not committed to a meter. You're not committed to, really anything. Where I feel like other programs, I felt kind of locked in, and it was a big undertaking. If I wanted to change, I want this to be a 3/4 bar here, and I want to move this phrase by, half note or whatever. I feel like in Dorico it's so much more fluid. I would recommend Dorico because I feel like it is the most cutting edge notational program on the market. What is most amazing maybe is just the rate at which this program has grown up and matured over these past few years. And to me, that's the most exciting because there's really no perfect program on the market yet. To me, this is as close as I've found. There's things I'm certainly looking forward to that I know will be in future editions, but just the speed at which they've handled those things is pretty incredible. So I would definitely recommend.
The kind folks at Dorico have set up a special web page so you can go and download a free 30-day trial copy of Dorico. So go and do that. I have been using the program and I'm absolutely in love with it. Go to dorico.com/TPC. Let me see if I can summarize what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're recommending, or one of the things you learned is that once you established a small base of financial security, that freed you up to do better work. And you think sometimes composers get that in the wrong order? And so then they're constantly stressed about the money, and that then negatively affects everything else?
Yes, because they are too focused on the long term, just trying to find gigs as composers or orchestrators or things like that. And I think before you have to solve some things, so you can be ready to move forward.
And one of your latest films now, I mean, the soundtrack is simply stunning.
Oh, thank you.
And I know this is in Espanol, so I'm probably going to butcher it, but Buñuel in the Labyrinth of the Turtles? Buñuel, okay. Yeah, how did that come about?
So the producer, the main producer, he's a big the animation producer in Spain. He saw a video of me playing a piece called Grace with the Berlin Philharmonic Soloists. It's a piece that we recorded here in Warner Brothers. In 2016, they came to Disney Hall. They had a concert there, and they had 2 days, one free day before the concert. So Laurentius Inca, the violinist I talked about before, he called me and he said, "Can you write a piece and we will record it while we are in LA?" And it was great. We recorded the piece. This producer saw it, and he emailed me with the Buñuel movie.
I had the opportunity to watch it. Can you just give a plot summary for the listeners of the podcast?
Sure, yeah. It's a movie that tells, Buñuel, for those that don't know, Buñuel is one of the major filmmakers of last century. He was from Spain. And this movie talks about when Buñuel was in Buñuel. He was starting, he had done 2 movies with Salvador Dalí. And he was already kind of famous in Paris, but he wasn't worldwide famous. There is a region in Spain called Las Urdes, which was extremely poor at that time. Like people were dying; they didn't have anything to eat, and he went there and shot a documentary, which was a very controversial documentary because he used very powerful images of like animals dying. A little girl dying, even though he staged most of it. But when you saw the documentary, that's what you would see. It's the story of that, the making of that documentary, which is also very interesting because it was paid by a friend of Buñuel. That one night they were just having some drinks, and Buñuel was complaining he didn't have enough money to do this movie. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to play the lottery, and if I win, I will pay for it." And he won, and he ended up paying. So, yeah, that's the movie. It's a great movie, I think.
But then there is this relationship with Salvador Dalí, who didn't he fund some of Buñuel's work?
Yeah, they actually collaborated together in the first 2 movies. They co-wrote the scripts. But then Dalí got very famous, and Buñuel didn't like that, and they had some fallout, and I think they stopped being friends for a while. I don't know if they got back together after that, but yeah, there was a lot of competition between them.
I'm sure there was. One of the things I really liked about the score is that, well, it sounded very Spanish without relying on stereotypes like a flamenco guitar, right?
Thank you. I was trying to avoid them. Thank you.
Yeah.
To avoid them, yeah.
But then some of the tracks, in particular, the Salvador Dali track, has a very advanced 20th century tonal language. And I could hear then, now that I've heard more of your story, the influence of Bartók and some of these 20th century composers being present, which was a good way to represent this artist.
Yeah, definitely. And now that you mentioned the Salvador Dali track, can I tell you how we recorded that? Because how we recorded it was an interesting process.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I wanted to have a very complex counterpoint texture in the choir, but we didn't have enough time to practice with the choir, and we had very limited time at the Abbey Road studio. My idea was to have something close to Atmospheres by Ligeti.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even get close to that. That's a masterpiece. But I wanted to have so many different notes at the same time. And if you write that, it's hard to sight read. You need a lot of practice with the choir. So what we ended up doing is the conductor, he had a keyboard that was connected to the headphones of every singer. We had 50 singers. But whatever he was playing in the keyboard, it wasn't being recorded because it was only through the headphones. So we would be pointing at each singer and giving them a note, a random note.
Really?
And we did that 50 times. And we just said, just hold that note. And once we have all your notes, we'll go from pianissimo to fortissimo. The whole idea was a very complex texture that goes from very soft to very loud. But of course, to write that would have been really hard. And for the players to sight read, I thought it was a little too much. So we only needed one take, just by giving them notes randomly at the beginning. And then once they had the texture, we record.
Ah, man, that must have taken a long time in the editing booth then to
get
the timing right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the whoever you had as a mixing and editing engineer did a phenomenal job because it sounds
I think
great.
the sound is, the sound of the guitar, it's amazing, right? They did a wonderful job recording and mixing.
So what's next on the horizon for you? What are you working on now?
I'm doing 4 movies now. One of them is a thriller, political thriller. Have you seen House of Cards?
Oh, yes. Great show.
So maybe something like that. I don't know if the score will be like that, but they want a similar tone. Then I'm doing a drama with the actor is Billy Zane. He played in Titanic. I don't know. Did you see Titanic?
Oh yes, I know Billy Zane. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a very emotional drama, and then the other ones are indie romantic comedies. So we will probably have some guitars, very small ensemble.
Wow, so you got a lot coming on. And were you getting these gigs after you finished Buñuel, or actually? Let me ask a totally different question here. Okay. I come from the academic world, and I had a colleague a few years ago explain to me his paper writing process, because in most disciplines, you have to publish regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And so he considered it 3 different stages. There's the idea stage in the pipeline, then there's the paper you're currently writing, and then there's the paper you finished, and that's the one that you're promoting to journals for publication or conferences or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think about that in my music life too. So there's the stuff I've finished that now I'm trying to sell. There's the stuff I'm currently writing and the projects coming up. How did you line these up? And do you think of the pipeline in a similar way, or are you kind of a multi-project person at the same time?
No, I think I agree with that. Right now, but I do all those things at the same time, right? Like now I'm promoting Buñuel. We are in the awards campaign, and the studio is campaigning for Golden Globes and Oscars, and it's a small movie, so we don't know if we will make it, but they are doing campaign. And at the same time, yes, I'm creating the new themes for the movies I have, and I'm also taking meetings for another movie that I will get next year. We're already in pre-production. So yeah, I completely agree with those stages. And for me, they happen at the same time. So I need to switch from one hat to another and try not to get overwhelmed by that, because sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
To me, it would be great if I can just do one thing, campaigning for a movie for a month and then just composing, but it's never like that. You have to do all of them.
Right. Well, it sounds like you might be ready to hire an assistant.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say I have one, and now I might have to hire someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you work with a management or an agent at all?
Yes.
Yeah. And are they helping line some of these meetings and opportunities up for you?
Yes, they're great. I couldn't be happier. They're actually. I'm not just saying it to be polite. I really like them. It's Kraft Angle Management, and they're so good.
That's great. Well, Richard Kraft has quite the reputation.
Yeah, no, he's awesome, and he's so smart, and he knows the industry, and he also knows the composers really well. It's funny when he talks about composers and he gives advice to composers. It feels almost like going to the therapist. And the things he says is he really knows who we are, and sometimes composers don't like the thing he says because they can get offended maybe, but I think he's always right on the money.
Aha. Tell me something that he's said that had that effect for you.
Like sometimes he talks about general flaws of composers. He's met obviously so many composers in his life, and he knows that most composers, maybe we are not like social butterflies, right? I don't know how to say it. We like being in the piano or a computer, wherever you compose, and we maybe tend to be nerds. And if you want to do a career in Hollywood, you need to develop that other side. You need to be almost like a politician running for to be the president or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he focuses a lot on that. He tries to give us some advice regarding that side of the business. Like we as composers, I think we all could do better. And but of course, sometimes when he says that on Facebook, we have a composers group that everyone is there. Some people get offended, but I mean, I think they might get offended because he really knows us. He knows us really well.
Yeah. And
what he says is quite true for me, at least.
I'm actually a member of that group, though I'm not really doing social media. And yeah, I know some of the history of how that group was formed, primarily because he is willing to say these things.
Yeah. And don't you think sometimes when he speaks about composers that I think he knows them really well?
Yeah, he has good things to say. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question I really enjoy asking people on the podcast. And so I wanted to see if you could give one piece of actionable advice, something that for someone who's listening to the podcast today that they could go and do right away that'll help move their career forward. What piece of advice would you give?
To me, the thing that really changed my career in the examples I gave you and other examples is the videos. I will tell everyone to think of a video with a piece of music that they composed. It can be a video of the recording session or maybe a video and have some footage with that you license. Maybe to put it simple, make a video. Even if you have 1 or 10 or 20, make another one and try to do it really, really good. Because the fastest way you have to reach a lot of people, the fastest and easiest is to do a good video that you put on YouTube. You never know who's going to watch. And you can get so many opportunities just by that video.
It seems like the visual is very important. So
yeah.
How do you go about creating visuals then?
I have videos of the sessions. Then sometimes I combine videos with footage from the movie and the music itself. I just did a video of featuring 6 or 5 pregnant women kind of moving with the music. I don't know. I can do so many different things, but I think one video on YouTube is like 20 tracks on SoundCloud. I think a track of audio doesn't really connect that well with people. You need visuals.
Makes sense.
I don't know if this is great advice. I think it works.
It worked for you, so that means it is good advice. So there's going to be someone out there who's listening and they can say, I can do that too.
I hope.
And then it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Arturo, this has been a fabulous conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah, I had a great time.
Conductor Sir Simon Rattle says, Encoda is really clever. It's like a view into the future of making music. As digital sheet music and performing off of tablets grows in popularity and convenience, the need to easily access high-quality scores, to be able to mark up the scores, and to be able to share those markups with performers, students, and composers continues to grow. Encoda is the new home of digital sheet music. With access to music from the world's greatest publishing houses, Encoda can't be beat. And soon, through Escobar Digital, composers will be able to add their music to the database so performers can easily access their music, and the composer gets paid for it. Check it out now by downloading the app from your app store for a free trial. That's Encoda, spelled N-K-O-D-A. Encoda. This episode of The Portfolio Composer has been supported by Dorico, the music notation software from Steinberg. Whether you're a composer or arranger, a teacher or student, working in music engraving and publishing, or working in producing music for media such as film, TV, and games, Dorico is the tool for you. Dorico comes in two versions: Dorico Pro for professionals and Dorico Elements, providing the perfect introduction to the world of scoring. Whichever version you choose, you'll be using software packed full of smart features that produces beautiful results completely automatically, allowing you to get music on the stand more quickly than with any other software. You can bring music into Dorico from your existing software using Music XML or MIDI, and you can try Dorico out completely free of charge for 30 days by downloading a trial version from dorico.com/TPC. Try it today.